And so we wanted kids to see themselves represented on screen in a way that they would say, like, maybe I can do something like that.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good. Are you in Brazil?
No, I'm here
Oh,
in LA.
oh, okay.
Yeah, but
You
it's
live here though.
Brazil. Yeah, I live here like for the last 6 years, so all
Okay.
good. Thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to talk to you again. I spoke to you when you did ask Dr. Ruth.
Oh yeah.
Yes, like years ago. Looks
Years,
like
yeah.
oh my God,
In the
a long
before
time.
times, yeah.
Exactly. So now I'm very excited to talk about Good Night Opie. It's oh my God, it's an amazing documentary,
Thank you.
and it's a little different from everything that you did from before. Can you talk a little bit like what this idea came about and why did you decide to do robots this time around? Kind of robot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, my first non-human character in a film. I love space. I have since I was a little boy, always loved films about space. Well, I wanted to be an astronaut growing up. It didn't work out for me. And so into adulthood, ever since I've become a documentary filmmaker, we've been looking for a space story to tell. And we've said no to a lot of projects just because we felt like it wasn't the types of film that we make. I keep saying we because my best friend from when I was a little kid is my producing partner. And so we always choose our projects together. Her name is Jessica Hargrave. And we had dinner on March 12th, 2020. It's a very easy date to remember because it was the last night you could go out in Los Angeles. We had dinner with Film 45 and with Amblin, and they had this idea to make a documentary about opportunity. She had just died the year prior in 2019. And I had followed her mission because I'm a space geek, but when they said that they had almost 1,000 hours of archival from NASA of her entire life, like from when she was just an idea in Steve Squire's head all the way through her funeral and Spirit's funeral. I thought, because I don't usually make like retrospective or historical films, but I thought like, wow, if all that footage exists, maybe we can make a film where the audience is along for the journey from the very
Yeah.
beginning and doesn't feel like a look back at her life. It feels like you were on this adventure with her. And so I thought that it checked all the boxes and what I love to make as a documentary, something character driven, some sort of wild adventure that someone or something in this case is on. Um, and it was also, it's rare as documentary filmmakers that we get to make something that is joyful and hopeful and uplifting. You know, most of our films, Dr. Ruth was for sure,
Yeah,
but
she
even
was.
even so, that story is, you know, that story is still about the Holocaust and her family was killed, and it still has very heavy subject matter. And it's about sex, so like kids can't really watch it.
Yeah,
Uh,
but this one is real. Kids can
yeah,
watch it, yeah, and I
yeah.
think you'll be inspired to this young generation that is like gonna be able to watch it. I love
Exactly.
that.
I hope so. I hope so because it's rare we can make films that families can watch together, and so that was a big goal in making the film.
Yeah, you also have like some humans, of course, the science over
Yeah.
there. How did you came about like to pick the right ones to be like to tell this story as well?
So I don't know about you, but I assumed going into this that that was going to be our biggest challenge. Like I knew the story of the robot was a great hook, but like I assumed scientists and engineers would be very unemotional,
Yeah,
detached,
like oh,
dry people. And it ended up being the complete opposite. So what we did is we did what we call in documentary filmmaking, we call them pre-interviews. Like before you've actually sat someone in front of a camera, you call them up and have a conversation. And we did pre-interviews with almost 4 dozen people who played a role in these robots' lives. And we realized very quickly that it was an embarrassment of riches. Like all of these people were so emotional. I think it's also because she had just died the year prior.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cathartic for them to get to talk about it with us. Uh, but they were all such incredible storytellers and so emotional about the robot that the biggest challenge became, how do we only pick a handful of people, because you don't have enough time, to include dozens of people in a documentary. It was a lot about, well, choosing people from different phases, of course, of the robot's life because it spans so many generations. But it was also about thinking of the audience and thinking, if there are young girls out there in India watching this film, how inspirational could it be to see a woman like Vandi Verma, who came from India and got inspired to go into space because someone gave her a book about it for her 5th birthday. And so we wanted kids to see themselves represented on screen in a way that they would say, like, maybe I can do something like that with my life. Even a lot of the people in my film are careful to say, like, I wasn't even good at math and science as a little kid, but I loved space or I loved engineering and I made myself good at it. And I think it's important for kids to see that too. Like, with a lot of hard work, you can get good at these things, even if it isn't your natural talent.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing is that I like very amazed, like the animation, the
Mhm.
effects. Oh my God, that brought so much joy to my eyes when I watched it. I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. How was that, like this approach and this conversation to create that type of, like, you brought an animation, like, to, we see a lot of animation. I see a lot of, like, cartoons and animations,
Yeah,
like, from other, but that one is so real. And I was like, oh my
right.
God, so real. How was that conversations like to create that?
Well, that was the idea from the very beginning was, Amblin produced this, so they've obviously worked in visual effects a lot. And I asked them, is it possible? Each robot had 9 cameras on her, and then there's cameras on satellites above Mars. So like we know exactly what it looks like. We know what these robots' journeys look like on every day that is in our film. We know exactly what the level of dust in the air, what time the sun rose, what time it set. So the question was, can we give all of that information to a visual effects house and they create a real Mars? And so Amblin set me up to have a conversation with Industrial Light Magic, so another, dream partner, George Lucas's company. And that was the conversation, exactly like you're saying. I said to them, like, I don't want to make a cartoon.
Yeah.
So if this is going to look like a cartoon, we shouldn't go down this path. But are you capable of creating a photoreal Mars? And they said, we've never done that before. Like, we've created Mars before, but that's usually creating the world of Mars around an actor in a desert somewhere. They've never built it from the ground up from real photography, but they said we're capable. And it took years to create those visual effects. And I'm so glad you enjoyed them because they blow me away when I see them now. And I know we drove Industrial Light Magic crazy. Like, they're not used to working with documentary filmmakers. And so they're used to using their imaginations. And that's what they're so brilliant at. And we were asking for the opposite. We were asking for no imagination. Everything had to be completely tied to reality. And that's very different for them. And so there were certain times I think they wanted to kill us where we would say, like, but we can see in the photograph that rock wasn't there. So we need to take that rock out.
Yeah.
And, that takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And it was so fun getting to work with all of those amazing visual artists. And I'm so thankful to all of them. They were so dedicated to getting it right. And they're so proud of the final product. We just had a screening up in San Francisco at the Industrial Light Magic Theater, and it was so fun to get to, screen it for all of the incredible employees there, but also have the artists that I work with on stage with me doing a Q&A afterwards, and getting to talk about their genius, because it's not something I know how to do. So it was very fun to be a part of it with them.
Yes, we need to almost done with the interview, but I need to ask you about the music. The music also it's beautiful, and how was like the approach, and then you work with Blake Neely, I
Nearly.
sorry,
Yeah.
Neely, and how was like the approach as well?
So Blake and I have worked on almost all of my films together. I met him when I was making my third film, and he has scored every single film I've made since. Even if it's like a little short film, Blake does it, and I think I'm his passion projects. And I saw this morning he got nominated for an IDA award for his score, which I'm thrilled about. Because Blake does a lot of really big film and television, a lot of scripted stuff. But I'm his little pet projects on the side that he loves working on because I think it's so incredibly creative for him to get to work on nonfiction. And so he's one of my best friends because we're always working together. I make like two or three things at a time. So almost across the board, we're in some phase of scoring one of those projects. So I spend an incredible amount of time with him at his studio in North Hollywood. And this one, he began writing, he loves space too. So we're total geeks that way. And so I knew he was going to love this film, maybe more than any of the other films we've made together. And so he started writing music very, very early. Like
Wow.
even a lot of music that's not in the final film, he would write something because I love listening to his ideas like while I'm out shooting or while I'm on a plane to a shoot. It's like a boxer getting in the zone. I think before going out there, I love like listening to his ideas as I'm heading to a shoot. And so I think he knocked it out of the park with this one. It was the biggest orchestra we ever had. It was, I think, 65 people playing in the orchestra. So it's a big score when it comes to the amount of musicians. And then we worked with Mark Mangini as our sound designer, and he won the Oscar for Dune while we were making this film. So he's a legend in his field. And once we brought Mark on board, it actually freed Blake and I up to be, I think, a lot more creative with the music because we were leaning in more towards the mechanical, futuristic types of sounds. And then we realized Mark was creating that anyway, so that Blake and I could lean a little more cinematic. It took a little bit of the pressure off of us to shoulder that for the film. So yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite scores that Blake has written for any of our films.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And doing this project, I know that was like in the middle of the pandemic and everything, but what did you learn about yourself?
Mm. Well, it sounds cheesy, but I was very inspired by the people in this film. This idea, I think it's so rare these days that there is a mission like this, that like people from all over the world are working on something together. I can't even think of another example where like multiple governments and people from all over the world are working on something collectively for the better of mankind. And so it was so inspirational to watch a team of people that came together. I will never liken making a film to sending a robot to Mars, but I do think it is analogous in the sense of like you are all. I don't know how to play a music instrument. I don't know how to, cut on an Avid system. Definitely don't know anything about visual effects or bringing a photoreal Mars to life. You are relying on these geniuses who are amazing at their job and are very proud of their job to do their part. And I can't tell you how many scientists and engineers, even Steve Squires, who's my main character, the gentleman who picks the final wake up song, he has said to me a million times, like, Ryan, I only know a fraction of this mission, I don't know how to do almost everything that it takes to operate this mission. I know about like taking measurements of rocks. That's all I know how to do. I don't know how to land a robot. I don't know how to design a robot. I don't know anything about the engineering of the robot. It takes thousands of people who are geniuses at their job and doing it right for this to come together. And I think that's what I hope the big takeaway of this film. It was a collective human endeavor for the better of future human beings.
Yeah, and you were amazing, like bring everybody together.
Yeah.
Ryan, this is the time that I have with you. I just want to thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to talk to you again and a lot of success. And I hope everybody like it. The
Oh, thank you
documentary
so
like I
much.
did. Yes. And I
Thank you
hope you
so
get
much.
some awards. I hope so.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank,
much. And you have the most beautiful name. That's my
oh,
son's name.
thank you. Oh, great.
Yes. He's a nice gentleman. Thank you so much. Bye. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, to like, and subscribe to our channel right here.